All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Zayin Ches. So we left off 2 dots at the 5th wide line. What is the halacha to go ahead and sell an old Sefer Torah to purchase a new one, right? We know, we mentioned in the Mishnah the concept of that the monies can only be used for something of greater kedusha, but can you go ahead and buy identical? So, do we say that since you're not elevating, you're doing the same level? Since there's no way to go higher than the Sefer Torah, it would be okay. You got it, Reuven? We were the 5th wide line. Sorry about that. There was 2 dots right at the end of it. Well, now we're 6th by that. So Tashma, come on, listen. Good morning, Alan. So it says, our mission says, when it goes, if you sell a Sefer Torah, you can't go ahead and buy Svar Mudulo, but it sounds like you could sell the Sefer Torah for another Sefer Torah. So the our mission is all you're talking about, but the end. We're talking about lechatchila. Can they plan? This is the plan. Let's go sell our old Sefer Torah and buy a new one. So Tashma, come on, listen. Goylan Sefer Torah mitbacha is chumashim mitbacha is nevim uksubim. About loy nevim uksubim mitbacha is the chumashim. Loy chumashim mitbacha is a Sefer Torah. Says over there, they can go ahead and wrap a Sefer Torah, right, in the covers of chumashim and the covers of nevim uksubim, right? But you can't go ahead and the nevim uksubim can't use those to go down. Right, the machos of chumashim, right, and the loy chumashim machos Sefer Torah, and the chumashim cannot use that of a Sefer Torah. No, so these mitbachos can only go up in kedusha; they can't go down. They can't be downgraded if they once were covering a Sefer Torah. They can't, go to other things. Yes, Gailen Sefer Torah mitbachos chumashim, right? So it says that they can go ahead and wrap a Sefer Torah mitbachos chumashim, mitbachos chumashim in mitbachos Sefer Torah, but you can't use them for another Sefer Torah. It sounds like you only go up, right? But you can't, but this doesn't work. So aim a sefer. So look at the sefer. It says lo chumashim b'mdachos Sefer Torah. It says you can't do chumashim in the covers of Sefer Torah, but it sounds like you could do the Sefer Torah in the out of a Sefer Torah, right? Shabidami, that would be okay. So the Gemara said Ella meha lekala mashmina. From here we can't learn because either way you can be meduyak whether it's mutter to go equal or not. So Tashma, come on, listen. Manichin Sefer Torah Agabi Torah. That Sefer Torah Agabi Torah, Torah Agabi Chumashim, Chumashim Agabi Nevim, Uksubim. Right? You can go ahead and place the Sefer Torah on top of another Sefer Torah, and place or Sefer Torah on top of a Chumash, right? Which is one Sefer of the Torah, right? That's a Chumash Vayikra, right? And then you can go ahead and replace that on Nevim or Ksubim. You can't put a Nevim Ksubim on top of Chumashim, Chumashim Agabi Torah. So you can't put a Sefer Torah, but it says in the beginning you can put a Torah on a Torah. So maybe we can go ahead and sell a Torah for a Torah. Equal is okay. So Gemara says, Hanachas Kamarta, you're talking about placing one on top of the other. Shani Hanachas Le'efshar, right? Placing one on top of the other, there's nowhere else to put it, so you have no choice. Dila Temahachi, so Michach Heiki Karchinon. Well, how can you go ahead and ever fold or roll the Sefer Torah? Right? You're putting one page in the other. Rather, since it's impossible, right? There's no space. You have to put one on top of the other. You can put a Torah on a Torah. So just like rolling it or folding it, there's no other choice. So to one Sefer Torah upon another one would be permissible, but it doesn't answer our question of selling an old Sefer Torah for the purpose of buying a new one. So Tashma, come and listen. Rabbi Baruch Rabbi Yechanan, Mishum Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. La yimkor adam Sefer Torah yashan likach bo chodesh. Says over there, beferish, a person should not go ahead and sell a Sefer Torah, an old Sefer Torah, in order to go ahead and purchase a new one. So our answers over there, no hasam shub shiusa. Over there, it was because you can't go ahead and plan. Okay, we're going to go ahead and sell it. Let's put it for sale, and then once we get the money, they will find a new one because maybe they'll be negligent. They also use money for something else. They won't buy one. We're talking about a case of where the actual Sefer Torah is already written, right, and ready to go. You just need the funds. So there is no issue of shiusa, of negligence, because the Sefer Torah is being ready to be purchased. You just need the money. So Tashma, once again, come listen. Rabbi Yecham Mishum Rabbi Meir, Ein Beichrin Sefer Torah Ela Lilmo Torah Lisa Isha. One cannot go ahead and sell Sefer Torah, but only to go ahead and for the purposes of learning Torah and the purposes of Lisa Isha for a person to be able to go ahead and marry a woman. So Shvamina, Torah b'Torah shapir dami. So you learn from here that selling one Sefer Torah for the other. In other words, you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah for Limud Torah. So Limud Torah, Sefer Torah is all the same. So over here, you can go ahead and sell a Sefer Torah for the purposes of purchasing a Sefer Torah. Shapir dami. So Gemara says no. Maybe Limud Torah, right? For the purpose of Limud Torah is even greater than having a Sefer Torah, right? Because the learning of the Torah will bring upon actions. And Ishanami, also to marry a woman, why is it such a high level? This is a pasuk. Yeah. Pasuk in Yeshaya. Yeah. Okay, so it says there, it's not good for one to, he wasn't created to sit alone, right? To sit alone, he should be with a woman. So if there's no other way for him to get married, unless he goes ahead and let's say has funds to travel across the world, whatever it is, there's someone waiting there, then you can sell a Sefer Torah for that purpose.
Is the Shiloh here on the tzibur or on an individual person? I thought we were talking about a tzibur, and this Tashma here seems to imply we're talking about a person.
So it could be.
It doesn't matter at all.
I don't think I meant right. I don't think it's the purpose of usage. I think are the monies that the proceeds of the sale has kedusha, and what can you do with that with those proceeds? That's the question.
It's not by the big Knesset. There's a distinction if it's a tzibur.
Right. It's done with Tavia and right.
It's strange you have marrying a woman is included.
Is up there, right? Is up there with right? Those are right. But maybe to sell a Sefer Torah for another Sefer Torah, that maybe you don't have permission to go ahead and sell that first. So Torah Rabbanan. La yimkor adam sefer Torah afa pishen tzarich lo. A person should not sell a sefer Torah, even she'ein tzarich lo. He doesn't need it, right? There's no purpose of it. Yes, okay. Amar Shenglil afilu ein lo ma yeichel. It doesn't have what to eat, right? Umacher sefer Torah, obito sells the sefer Torah or his daughter as a maidservant. Either that, you're not going to see a sit bracha, right? You might think, okay, I'll be able to, buy food with that, or I'll sell your daughter, and I'll get money for that. But nothing good will come out of the sales and the monies from there. Fine. Two dots. In the Chav Zayin, Amud Aleph. The chayin was no maskana. They're not right. They're not come along. Right. The only closest we got was pshus, or one was the diabet.
Are you not going to see a simon bracha from this wife that you just married, or this Torah that you're learning?
So you said simon bracha. So over there is the heter. So I guess right. So it's a little more Torah, right? And there, but to sell for food, right? That is not that is not a good use of funds or assets. So too, the extra money that comes from a sale, we said, okay, you can go ahead, you sell an aron, you can go ahead and buy a Sefer Torah, right? So you buy an aron and you sell it for $1,500. Sure, yeah, thank you. Small, yeah, black. But so too the extra money. So if you sell something for $10,000 and you only purchase $8,000, you got $2,000 left over. So though the kedusha still applies to those. And we're only talking about, right, when we sold it at extra, about Gavavetiru. But if he goes ahead and they collect, we're raising money to buy a Sefer Torah. And by the way, we raised 200,000, but a Sefer Torah does not cost 200,000, although nowadays it's getting closer, right? Gavavetiru, mutter. Then it is mutter. That was if they collect money. Then the extra money used for, it was the money that they collected, right? The money that they fundraised. If there's extra money, that money doesn't have the same kedusha as like when you sell something and then you have extra money from the proceeds. When they did not make a condition about his no, I feel the if they made.
So what did they do with the rest of the money? Like we said, there's 2,000 left.
Right. So that
2,000 left kedusha.
So it has the kedusha, it has the same kedusha as the Sefer Torah, right? You can't use it for that, right? You can't, especially Sefer Torah, because it can't go down. If it was for shul, right? Shul, you could buy an aron, you could buy chumashim, you could buy Sefer Torah. But if you sell Sefer Torah and you have proceeds from there, then that money can only be used for a Sefer Torah. Can't be used for anything else.
So can it be used for adornments for the Sefer Torah?
No, that's shut down. That was step down. You're right. Yeah. So Gemara says, but if they made a condition, right? Now, there's a condition with the money, then they can even use it for this other purposes of the dechsusia. We'll say what that is. That's mutter. So hey, what's the case? If we're talking about when they sell something and they make a condition, so okay, he's no my hobby. Right, just to make a condition, like, oh, well, we're going to sell this avatar, and we're going to, to buy this avatar, which is already prepared, which is already ready, and there's extra money. Then the condition is you can do whatever you want with that money. So you can't make such a condition, right? Ella, rather must be shigabu. Rather, they fundraised, they collected the money, and there was extra money. So Tom of the Eastern, the only reason if they make a condition, we're going to go ahead and we're going to fundraise money for a Sefer Torah. Any extra money that's given, we can use it our own decision, right? Allah, he's no, but they didn't make a condition. Low, then they couldn't go ahead and do whatever they want. So now you need the condition. So my answer no. Really, we're talking about a case of when they sold it and there was extra money, and it was because they made a condition, right? The haki comments means to say, but we weren't talking about when we wasn't done by the 7, trustees in front of the people, because we saw earlier. This whole mission that we're talking about, that the money stole as a kedusha, is only if it was not sold by the trustees of the city with everyone's permission. But if it was with everyone's permission and the trustees sold it, then the money, the kedusha, can be used. The kedusha leaves the money, right? They're allowed to go ahead and sell it with everyone's permission because no one is holding on to the kedusha. So therefore, the kedusha goes off. So when they did not go ahead and sell it, and therefore the kedusha is out. Well, he's no Shiva Tovia ear, but if they made a condition, we're going to sell it, by the way, people, and we're going to buy new Sefer Torah. There's 2,000 extra money left over. We can do what we want with it. Afilu the dechsusia nami mut. Even to go ahead and spend it on the dechsusia, there's also mut.
What's the thing with the 7 town trustees?
That's just, I guess, how the setup. That's how it was. Right, the board. Right, that's how it was set up. Right. Shelly sent them an email, says, I assume that you 7 trustees are on the board unless one of you reply by January 20th, which I did. Otherwise you'll remain in the slate, right? So I'm really Abai. So he wasn't asked. So Abai once said to a certain rabbi, I used to go ahead and learn in front of Rav Sheshes. Did you ever hear Rav Sheshes say what's a duchsusia? This is what Rav Sheshes says, Parsha Demasa. Right? Parsha Demasa was basically like the town mailman, right? The town, the delivery service. Right, so even to use that money for the delivery service for the town, that would be mutter. And Amar Abaye, so it says, the Shmiya le milsa v'lo yada. Right, you hear something and you don't know what it is. V'lo yadi. So here's the shulei kamei deshkech kamei derabanan. Right, the lefsha do shemile mean gava rabba. Right, if you go ahead and you find something that you don't understand, find somebody who frequents Talmidei Chachamim, and because it's most probable that he at some point since he's always by rabbis, he knows the answer to your question.
Except all the previous ones were done by the maid of Rabbi's house.
Oh yeah. I find the maid. Yeah, sure. So Rav Yechon Mishum Rav Meir Bnei Ir Shahalchu Leir Acheres. So you have people you have a group of people. This is Bnei Ir Shahalchu Leir Acheres Upasko Lam Tzedakah. So then usually they have certain periodically they fundraise. Okay, everyone come ahead, bring money to support the poor, to support the town, to support the communal expenses, right? So these group of people who travel to the city, they give. Nice thing. But when they leave, they say, the 10 of us came, we donated $600 from all of us. Give us back our $600, and we're going to take it to our town and spend it to the poor people there. And then you're allowed to do it. And Tanya Machas Bnei Yishal Kol Iracheres, Upaski Mahen Tzedakah, then they give tzedakah. If the group of people give tzedakah to another town, then they go ahead and they give it to Shane Bain. And when they leave, Mavina Saliman, they bring that money with him. The Yachid Shahalach Iracheres, but if you have a single individual who went to another city, Upaski Olan Tzedakah, and then they were gathering tzedakah, and he gave Tinasein La'ani Oitzair, that he give it to the people of that town. Fine. Is this Rav Huna? Yeah, I think Rav Huna goes to Tanisa. So Rav Huna was geyser Tanis. So all the Gabi Rav Chana Barachina the Chobre Masya. So everyone, so he had a Tanis. So everyone, they all came to the town, right? And Romal had tzedakah, and they went ahead and they, I guess, charged them. They said, okay, you have to go ahead and give tzedakah. All right. Then they gave a kiboy lemisi. So when there was time for them to leave, so right. Right, give us the money and let us go back and bring it to the town we came from. Samalu. So he said to them, Tanina, we learned, well, there is no chaver. Basically, there is no Tamar Chacham, as Rashi says, right? There is no chaver. This is no the Rav of the town. Vayeshem chaver tnas in the chaver v'kol sheken dani tidi v'didchu alai samich. Right? If there's a chaver, then the money stays with the chaver. And certainly in this case, you're going back to your town, your neighboring town, which I'm actually also the chief rabbi because I'm like the chief rabbi of the entire area. So therefore, the money stays with me because the tzedakah, even the tzedakah of your people, really depend on me. Fine. Naya Mishnah. So Mishnah says, "Ein meichrin eshal rabin liyachid mipnei shemaridin." Also, says Rameir, he can't go ahead and sell something. Let's say the shul, right? It was the rabbin to a yachid. So the base of Knesset is saying the same, right? It's the same kedusha. No, because it's going from rabbin to yachid, and it's a lower level of kedusha. Divrei Rameir. So Amrila, imke. If that's according to what you're saying, right? You got to sell from one city to another, but according to you, you got to take you're selling a shul, right? You're selling a shul KJ, right? It's 100 members. They're selling it to a place that has 20 members, so you should be allowed to do it, right? So that doesn't make sense. So so why should Rabin to Yachid be us, sir? Right? If we know Ir Gedol to Ir Ktanas mutter, so to Rabin to Yachid should mutter. So Gemara answers, the Rabbanan, so the Rabbanan had a good claim to Rav Meir. Rav Meir, what did Rav Meir say? Right? When you go from a large city to a small city, so there's still kedusha in the beginning, and still kedusha in the end. Like a kedusha, right? There is no real kedusha when by a yachid. The Rabbanan. Well, according to what you're saying there's no kedusha by a yachid. Right, so then why don't you go ahead and tack on the concept of the Rov Am Hajas Melech? Right, that we say the greater population, the greater amount of people is the bigger kedusha, bigger kiddush Hashem. Right, so therefore, indeed, it would be if you're going from a membership, right? Right, you go from a membership from 200 to 100. Right? If you're going from 200 to 100, then it should be a problem also, right? But Elamai, we don't care about going from 200 to 100. We don't so therefore, it would be okay to go ahead and sell from a larger congregation to a smaller one, and similarly, it would be okay for from a rabbin to a yachid. Fine. Nine Mishnah. Mishnah says, "Ein meichin beis haKnesses ela al tanai." Shem yirtzu yachziruhu. Divrei Rameir. You cannot go ahead and sell a shul, right, to an individual, right? Here's an extra chair, right? So to an individual, right? As long as there's a condition, right? In other words, to go ahead and tonight, right? Even for rabbin to rabbin.
Right of first refusal.
Right. So they. Right. No, you can take it back. No, you can sell it to whoever the buyer is, except for you can't sell it for 4 purposes. The merchatz is a bathhouse. Laborsky is a tannery. Right. The tvila is a mikvah. Right, base hamayim, right? The two different one's a laundry mat. The other one says a base meraglayim, like a urinal, a bathroom. Base hamayim. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, meichin isa l'shem chatzer v'lakech mashir tziyas. Now you can go ahead, sell it to the guy. Hey, I'm selling to you as a field. You want to change your mind? Do what you want with it. But if he buys it as a field, then that's okay. Then you want to do something else with it, then you do something else. Fine. That was the Mishnah. Zok the Gemara, Chavzayin Beis, I learn Meir, Heichi Dayer Ba Hahavili Ribs. Well, once again, let's take a look at this. If I go ahead and let's say, let's say Levi has a shul, right? You have a shul, and I go ahead and I want to buy it. Okay. So the rule is he can take it back, right? So I give him money, okay, and he ends up taking it back. He says, you'll take back your $1,000. So he takes back the $1,000. What's the issue? I use that shul for 2 months. Okay. So what does it look like? I lent him money. In return, I was able to use his shul and I got the money back. So it looks like riba. It's interest. It's interest because he borrowed the money. He gave it back to me. In addition to giving me back my money, he also gave me the value of using his shul. So I learned Meir. Say, hey, there, ribas. I'm Rabbi Yechon, Rabbi Meir, Beshitas, Rabbi Yehuda, Yossi, Rabbi Yossi. Who's this? Rabbi Yechon. Oh, no.
No, I think it's Rabbi Yehuda.
I think it goes, hey, Rabbi Yehuda. Beshitas, Rabbi Yehuda. Amra. Damar tzad echad b'ribas mutter, right? Who says tzad echad b'ribas is mutter. Now, tzad echad b'ribas means that one of the possibilities is going to be ribas. What's another possibility? He doesn't take it back. He keeps the money and I keep the shul. That's it. There's no ribas. There's nothing to talk about, right? So since there is a possibility that there's no ribas, then first mutter, even in the end. That's called tzad echad ribas. So he ultimately has mutter. He also like Rabbi Yehuda, who says tzad echad ribas is mutter. The time of the person basically goes that he owes somebody else $100. And he says, you know what? If I don't return you the $100, you can take my field, right? So basically, the field is like the mashkan here, right? This man shemaycher echel peiros mutter. When the seller, right, he was the one who has the peiros. That's fine because that was his field, right? And he's the one borrowing the money, and he's using his own field, right? Unless he loses, he officially, defaults on the loan. However, but the buyer, he can't be the one who gave the money because he can't eat the peiros. Why? Because he might get his money back, right? And therefore, he'll basically been eating the fruits for free, which would be interest. And Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you could even the buyer can go ahead and eat the peiros. Rabbi Yehuda, Ben Zun and Shasa say the Mecher Alpi Rabbi Eliezer ben Azari. One time there was a Ma'aseh of Vidus Ben Zun that he made his field a Mecher on the basis of, from the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Azari. And the buyer, he was the one who ate the peiros, not the Mecher. So what do you see over there? The buyer was eating it, and therefore you see it's no problem with ribis. So I'm Rilo. Misham Raya, are you going to bring it over there? First of all, you got it wrong. It wasn't the buyer, right? It was the seller. It was the guy who previously owned the field. He was eating the peiros, and therefore it's the opposite. It's not a proof at all. If anything, it's not a proof, right? So my benayu. So what's the machlokas there? Sad echad ribis ika benayu, right? The sad echad ribis is the nafminos. It wasn't stipulated, right? That okay, this you're going to pay it back and you get to eat the fruits, right? So therefore, since we don't know whether he's going to default on the loan, so therefore, according to one of the opinions, he can go ahead and eat the fruits, right? So Ma'asav tzad echad b'ribis mutter, Ma'asav tzad echad b'ribis is us.
Right.
Yeah.
So in other words, peiros can be considered a form of ribis.
Correct. Right. The right to eat the fruits because there's a monetary value. I'm eating the fruits from the field. I get to go ahead and sell it or eat it or do whatever I want with it. And then I only had it because, I lent you money. You gave me the money back. I stopped eating, but it sounds like that's like the interest,
Why
the usage.
is this being brought down over here?
No,
What's the connection?
because we had the shul. We had the case of the shul. If you sell a shul, right? So he says you could always, on a condition that you can go back on it. Because the shul has the kedusha stuff. So it's always still a shul. If I ever wanted to go back, I can give you your money back and take my shul back. But if that's the case, how could I use the shul in the meantime? Because if I take my money back, right, then the guy basically lent me $2,000 for the shul, and I gave it back 6 months later, and he got the usage, which is ribis, which is interest, right? You can charge rent for it. And Rabbi Amar the Kuli Alma Tzad Echad Ribis Asr. Everyone holds Tzad Echad Ribis is really Asr. Ribis Almanas Lahachs. Over here they're talking about Ribis Almanas Lahachs. And I was I took the fruits during the time, but I'll give it back to you. Ma'asav Ribis Almanas Lahachs. Mutter. One says Ribis and the condition to return is Mutter Ma'asaver. Also, everyone holds it was us. Fine. Go ahead and you can sell, make a permanent sale, do what you want with it, as long as it's not those 4 things that we set out to do. And Amar Rabbi Yehuda, I'm having a tough time today, right? Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, mutar li'adam lahashtin mayim b'sech dal amos shel tefillah. So it's mutar for a person to go ahead to be mashtin mayim to urinate within Dalet Amos of his makom tefillah, where he davened. So Amar Rav Yosef, my kamashmalon. What's the chiddush? The quote name of Shmuel. Tanina, let's learn in the Bryce. It says, or Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ma'ichin Oisel l'shum chatzer. Rabbi Yehuda says you can go ahead and sell a shul as a chatzer. The Lokech mashir tzayas, and the Lokech wants to go ahead and change his mind the next day and do something else with it. He can do it. The afilu rabbanon loikamri elevates a knesses, and even so, the rabbanon say, right, only a base knesses, right, the kviya kedushase, right, and then whose kedusha is kavua aval dar amos. Deloy kavia kedusha say, but just to just dal amos within a place where you daven is not considered to be kedusha low, right? So that's not considered to be there's no kedusha there, right? So you see over there that it's mutter to go ahead and be mashed in mayim within Dalet Amos because there's no kedusha. There's only kedusha maybe in a basic knesset according to Rabbanan, but certainly not wherever you daven. If I go ahead and daven in the alley, it doesn't make a kedusha up there. You can't go ahead and ever urinate there, go to the bathroom there. So Gemara says no. Tani kamed the Rav Nachman hamispalel marchi Dalet Amos mashtim. The one who davens. Right, he davens, then he should distance himself Dalet Amos and then go to the bathroom. Mashtin, and when he urinates, marchi Dalet Amos from his pal. Then he distances himself and to daven. In other words, if he goes to the bathroom first, then he should move Dalet Amos, right, the proxy, 4 to 6 feet away, and then go ahead and daven there. So I'm really bishlam hamashtin marchi Dalet Amos mispalel. I understand one who goes to the bathroom, then he has to go ahead and move away Dalet Amos mispalel. Tanina, but my yirchak mehanu minatsa Dalet Amos. How much you have to go ahead and distance yourself from urine? And so Dalet Amos, Ella Hamis Palel, but once you finish davening, Marchik Dalet Amos and Mashtin, Lamali, right? If that's the case, if you daven, right, after you finish davening, so why do you have to distance yourself Dalet Amos afterwards? So this whole area is Kadosh now. It's Lamali, Ihachi, Jasina, Kula Shavila Nahardia, right? If that's the case, people daven all over Nahardia, right? So you wouldn't be able to go to the bathroom anywhere. So Tani, so we learn the Yisha. So in other words, doesn't mean that he can't urinate there. It means he has to wait the amount of time to walk Dalet Amos. All right, let's call it 3 seconds. So all right, let's just say so you have to wait 3 seconds, right, after you daven until you machapish, right? So that's what so Bishlam Amashtin Yisha Kadei Hiluch Dalet Amos. I understand the one way. In other words, that if you first go ahead and urinate, you shouldn't immediately start davening because there's droplets that are still coming out even after he's done urinating. Elam Mispalel, right? Once he davens, why can't he immediately go to the bathroom afterwards? Yisha Kadei Hilos Dalet Amos Lamli. Why do you have to wait? The amount of time it takes to walk Dalet Amos. So Ravashi Shekol Dalet Amos, right? Shekol Dalet Amos Tfilas Esnudur B'Fiv. Chushay Rechashes. No, why? Because when he's finishing up his davening, he's like still saying the last couple words, right? He's still saying the last couple words. So therefore, you don't want right after you finish your tefillah, you don't still want like your lips uttering and then begin to go to the bathroom. Therefore, you should wait, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, whatever the zman is to walk Dalet Amos, a couple seconds, and then you can go ahead and go to the bathroom. Fine. Shalu Talmidov es Rebbe Zakai B'ameh Arichta Yom. With what were you zeicha to have such long years? What are the several gemaras like this? All my days lo ishtanti mayim b'sachdav. So this is the reason why we bring it on, and we'll have basically a whole blot of different rabbis saying as to why they were zeicha to long years. But he says, I never went to urinated within Dalet Amos of shel tefillah of my tefillah. Lo genizi shem lechaverei. And I never went ahead and I gave a nickname, right, for my friend, usually in some sort of derogatory way, Levitalti, Kiddush Hayom. And I always was for the mitzvah of Kiddush Hayom. I did Kiddush properly every Shabbos. And even Zakena Haisli Pamachas Macha Kiba Shabarisha one time, my elderly mother, she sold, I guess, one of her head coverings, right? In order to go ahead, because I didn't have any wine, Kiddush Hayom, in order to go ahead and purchased for me wine for Kiddush Hayom. And Tanik Shemesa, when she died, Hirichlo Gimel Meos Gavi Yain, right? She left over 300 barrels of wine for the purpose of Kiddush that you always have. When he died, right, he always also collected wine and made sure he had. He had 3,000 barrels of wine. Ravuna Havi Aser Risa. So Ravuna, so he had like a belt that was made of like grass, of weeds. Right, as a reason for coming to Rav, and for Rav, so Malay, my high, why are you wearing this belt? Where's your regular belt? Where's your Gucci belt? So Malay, right, kedusha, right? I didn't have wine for Kiddush, right? And I went to it and I gave it basically as a collateral, to somebody else, right? I gave my belt as a collateral. And I went to go purchase Kiddush for that. So Malay, the Sitam Bishirai. You should be Zaycha, right? To be that you should be covered in silk, right? As you gave away, you had your simple grass belt. You should have your nice silk belt. You should be covered in silk because you gave up, right? That your clothing for a mitzvah. So Kichla Rabbi Berei Drafuna. Excuse me. Right. So when his son, right, Rabba, was getting married, Rafuna Inish Gutzavi. He was short. He was a short guy, Havi, and got a Puria. So he went ahead and he, I guess, took a little nap, right, on the couch, on the bed over there, in like the lobby of the hall, right. So he went to sleep there. Asin Banse Vikalase. Then his daughters came, his daughter-in-laws came. They all came to the chasna. He got there early for pictures, right? So they all came to the chasna, and what they do, right? Right? So they took off their coats. They were wearing like the silk garments. They took off. They threw it on the couch over there in the lobby, and they didn't see their father-in-law or their father. And he basically was covered in these silk clothing. So Shama Rab. Right, and Rav heard about this, and Rav was the one who gave him the bracha before. Hey, you should be covered in silk. You were so poor and you gave up for the mitzvah. You should be one day be very wealthy, right, and have silk all over you. So Shomer Rav Ikvid Amar, my time Martin Lee, Kibar Asicha, the Chayin Lamar. Why didn't when I blessed you responded to me, Chayin Lamar, right? You should also get the same bracha. So that was his time. Fine. Next case, Shabbat Tamidas Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua b'merich liyamim. With what we use to have long years. Summer let me during my days. Let's say Kamadai lebeisak Knesset. I never made a shortcut to a basic Knesset. Below beside the Al Rosh Am Kadosh. I never went ahead and I walked upon the heads of the people, and I was in the shear, right? In order to get to a seat that the students had on the floor, and if you walk through it, they wouldn't have to get up and sort of give them cover and move out of the way. So I never bothered people like that. I guess either he would get there before, or he wouldn't, bother everyone. And I never duchen, right? I never did Birchas Kohanim without a bracha. Shalom Tamino says to Preda, B'merich Tayam. And they asked Preda, what were you zeicha to long years? So let me like Kadmoni Adam Beis Medrash in my years. No one ever came to the Beis Medrash before me. V'loi birachti lefanai kohen, and I never made a bracha, right, in front of a kohen. They always led the benching, right, in the Suda, and not me. L'chalti mibehema shlohumer masnas. And I also never ate from an animal before that. They took away its matanas, right? It's the jaw, stomach, and the foreleg, right? So because like the teaching of Rabbi Yitzchak in the name of Rabbi Yechon, that's us to go ahead and eat from behema that did not go ahead and remove its matanas. It's like he eats teva, right? Teva is crops that one did not take truma from meiser. So too, if I eat from the meat of the animal without separating the parts of the kohanim, it's very similar to eating ki'ilu. It's like one who ate teva. But however, let's say the halacha is not like him. So and also I never went ahead and I never benched in front of a kohen. So the Meimra Dama, you see, is that a good thing? A Talmud Chacham who lets somebody, even a Kohen Gadol, even if he's the Kohen Gadol, but he's an Amaretz, and if he allows the Kohen Gadol Amaretz to bench in front of him, that Talmud Chacham is really deserving of death. As Bazir says, Kol Masanai Avu Mavis, right? All those, right, that hate me, right, they love they love death. Now I'll take it Basanai, Ella Masniai, right? Those who cause to hate me. In other words, if you give it Amaretz covered, then it shows, oh, Amaretz, this is what's chashuv. This is what's chashuv. The Torah is not chashuv. So you're saying other things are chashuv not Torah. You're causing those people to dislike Torah, and therefore you are avu mavas. You're a lover of death. So he says no. So what does the statement mean? I never, I never bench before a Kohen. You know, when there was a Kohen who was equal in Torah, then I always allowed the Kohen to go ahead and to bench. So Shalom Tamid of Rabbi Chanunya Manikin of America Yamim, or we use like long years. I never got covered through the embarrassment of my friends, but also I also never went to sleep, angry at my friends, and I also was free with my money. How you see? That's how it was. I never got honored through the embarrassment of friends. What was that? The case of Rav Huna and Dari Marakasve. Rav Huna was one time walking with like a shovel on his shoulder, and also Rav Chana Bar Chaniloi came across and he wanted to go ahead and take the shovel from me and carry it for me. So I said to him, if you normally carry a shovel on your shoulder, then you can go ahead and carry it. However, be low. But if not, right? For me to get covered by you doing something that you don't normally do is not covered for me. I don't want you carrying the shovel because you don't normally carry this shovel. But also, he never went to sleep angry. Like Razucha, obviously, when he used to go to Des, Amar Sharili right? He says, anybody who is matzar me, anybody who angered me or caused me distress, I completely forgive him. And he said this, before he went to sleep. And Vicham B'Mona, he used to also be a little, easy with the money, right? He was generous. Right? That Eov, he was generous with his money. He used to leave a tip, right, for the store worker from his money. Shal Rabbi Kiva, Es Rabbi Nechunya Hagadol, so came across Rabbi Kiva to Nechunya Hagadol. They said, "B'ma'arif the yom." So why are you zeicher with such long days? So also Gavzai, because Machulei. So his Rabbi Nechunya's his workers, his servants, they thought that basically he was like cursing him his long years. He goes, Betty White, how does it feel to be 100, right? Right. So exactly right. So they were worried that all of a sudden he's like, he's cursing him. So they basically chased him. So he went and he basically chased him up a tree. So Rabbi, so he yelled down basically to sort of show that he wasn't here to cause trouble. He was here for learning. And then Keves, it says the word Keves, right? Keves Echad, right? So it says Keves Echad. We know Keves is one. Why say Echad? So he told the servant, right? Shafkua, right? Okay, this guy's Tamachachim is out here to start trouble. He's Tamachachim, leave him alone. Samarlei, and he said to him, Echem Yuchav Shebedra. He's he's like the top one. He's the Yuchav Shebedra. He's Rabbi Kiva, right?
They didn't know Rabbi Kiva.
I think it was
They didn't know him
They
yet.
didn't know Rabbi Kiva.
He was answering the question. It means Echad Shebedra. First, he's answering his question.
Yuchav Shebedra. No, it was asked to Kevazach.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Not him. Right.
The one question he asked, but
Right.
he's up.
Right, very good.
Beating up Rabbi Kiva. They don't
So
know.
Amar Lei, Miyamai, like Kibalti Matanas. My days, I never wanted to receive gifts. Lamati Amidosai, and I was never stern in my opinions. I was not Amid Amidosai, and Vicha my money, and I was generous with my money, loose with my money. How you see? Lucky about the Matanas, he was not Makabel Matanas. Kiha the Rabbi Elazar, like there was Rabbi Elazar said Kihavi Mishadri the Matanas, maybe in the sea. They used to go ahead and send him gifts from the house of the Beis Nasi. He wouldn't take him. And they invite him to go to the house of the Beis Nasi, big honor. He wouldn't go. Why you keep sending me gifts and inviting me? You don't like that I'm living. The pasuk says, he who hates gifts, he shall live. When they used to go ahead and send gifts to the Reb Zera from the Beit Nasiya, he wouldn't take it. However, when they would go ahead and invite him to come, he would go. So Amar Isukim Izakri B. Now, as he says, it's not that they're giving me a gift by me going there. It's covered to them for me to go there. So since it's covered to them for me going there, it's not like I'm receiving the gift. It's almost like they're receiving the gift with my presence. So therefore, he says it's not a case of me accepting gifts. And I never stood upon my midos. For a person who is he's forgiving, right? He forgives easily, right? Then his sins will be forgiven. Says, right? The pasuk says that he who forgives, right? So so who is the one whose sins will be forgiven? A person who is pesha, who forgives easily. So if you forgive easily, then you will be forgiven. And Shal Rabbi Shubin Karchav and Marich the Yamin, the answer Shubin Karchav, with what were you zeichet along the days? I'm like kasibachai, right? You're trying to basically, cut down my, cut down my years, my life. So no, Rabbi Tari, this is Torah. I need to learn. Okay, I'll tell you what I've done. During my days, when it's the Kalti, but the Mus Adam Rasha. I never looked in the face of the Rasha. Also the Adam, the Stakel, but tell him the Mus Adam Rasha. A person should not go ahead and look in the face of a Rasha. Shneimar Pasuk says, so he says over there, right? If it wasn't Yehoshua was here, I wouldn't basically be looking into your face. So he was saying that to Yehoram, who is a Russia. So he says, I wouldn't be here looking in your face. So you see that looking in the face of a Russia is not permitted. And right? His eyes will become weakened. Shneimar says, "Avayihi kizaken Yitzchak v'techiena einav meres." What is it? V'tichena. So it says, and when Yitzchak became older, then his eyes dimmed from seeing. Right? This is before the bracha. So Mishum, why were his eyes like that? Mishum Tisachel base of Harasha, because he used to look in the face of Esav Harasha. So the Gemara asks, I have a hug, this will cause him. You should never go ahead and have the curse of even a regular person be light in your eyes. Sorry, Avimelech kilal Sarah. Because Avimelech gave a curse to Sarah, and it was Miskayim and their son Yitzchak. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, it says there, this should be like this silver that he gave her. It should be like a clothing, right, of honor. And rather the dimming of eyes. It should be basically cursed, right? Someone's eyes should be dimmed, and therefore, and that klala was came to fruition with her son. So both of them caused both look in the face of Esav and this curse from Avimelech. And Rav Amar Mehacha, Rav says different pasuk says Seis Pnei Rasha Lo Tov, right? The face of a wicked person is not good. And B'shas B'zirazo, in the time when he was dying, Amalei Rabbi Berchani, give me a bracha, Rabbi Shua. Amalei Yiratzon Shedagia Lechatzi Yamai. You should be zeicha to reach half my years. I lukululo sounds like a bad thing. Not all of them. So Amalei Havia Macharecha Behemas right? So he said to him that right? So he said to him, so it says over there that basically, if you live very long, then you're going to basically be the Nasi, and he won't be able to go ahead and raise your children, right? Who's going to go ahead and raise your children? Who's going to go ahead? They'll be like your animals will graze. In other words, if you live very long, you're going to be the base Nasi. You won't be able to be active in your family. But if you live shorter, then you'll be able to be mechanech your family. And Avua, Barihi, so he's basically saying if you live a long life, you're going to basically be appointed over the tzibur, and be born on the tzibur. No one is going to be able to deal with your children. If no one's able to deal with the children, no one's going to teach them Torah and be mechanech them properly. So therefore, it's almost better to not be in a position of the nasi. So Avua Barihi, Umenyamin Barihi. So the two of them, Avua Barihi and Umenyamin Barihi. Chad Omar Tisi Lemistakel Bikusi. One said, I was zeicha because I never looked at a kusi, non-Jew. Chad Omar Tisi Li Avdi Shutvas Bahad Kusi. I never worked with, I never partnered up with a kusi. And Shalom Tamidav as Rabbi Zera B'Merich the Yamim. Oh, you look at the long years. So my name is like Vadi B'Seich Basi. I never became angry in my house. And I never walked ahead who was greater than me. And I never thought of Torah in alleys, which are dirty. One is not allowed to go ahead and think Torah there. And I never walked Daladams without Torah, without tefillin or without tefillin. Whether it was a long sleep, a permanent sleep, or just a short, quick nap. And I never rejoiced in the falling of my I guess the enemies or my quote unquote friends, right? And right? And I never called my friends either nicknames or by their last name. I always called them by their first name, giving them proper cover. Fine. Now Mishnah. How much time do we have? Let's just go. Well, let's turn the page. Let's go real quick. I'll go 3 minutes, right? Fine. I'll get to 7:40, 4 minutes. So, furthermore, Rabbi says the basic shacharav ain masbidim b'seicha. Basic that has been destroyed, come down, it's in ruins. You're not ain masbidim b'seicha. We don't make a haspin in there. And you can't go ahead and start using it for other purposes of making spinning ropes, right? Or shaking out sheets. And you can't use it to go ahead and lay out the fruits, peros. You can't go ahead and take a shortcut through. So there's a pasuk brought down. So it says there, and I will make your mikdashechem, your shuls, I will make them empty and desolate. So you see, kedusha son akshem. You see, there's still kedusha. They're still called your kedusha, even when they're empty, even when they're no longer used. They're in ruins. There still is kedusha there. And aluban and savim, and if the grass starts to grow there, don't go ahead and start picking the grass and make it nice, because let it grow in ruins and people will see it, and then people will be distraught over seeing a basic knesset that has been destroyed and not refurbished. So Tana Rabbanan, but the knesset ain't nogi bel and kalas rosh. And basic knesset, you can't be noig in the kalas rosh. Ain't noichli behead. You can't eat in them. You shouldn't drink in them. And the yosebed, one cannot go ahead and right, go ahead and put on makeup in there, right? And you shouldn't go ahead and spazier in there. You walk around there. Excuse me. You can't go enter in there to go in the shade from the sun, during the rain season, from the rain together. You can't make a husband in there, but husband shall yachid for a husband of a yachid. But Karman, you can go ahead and you can learn there. The Sherman, and you can do Chazer, and you can sit down there. Hesped shall Rabbi, you go ahead and do Hesped of Rabbi. And Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda Emasai Yeshubim. This is only talking about when it's still the shul. But when it's destroyed, so then you leave it there. And let grass grow up. There's no take out the grass. And don't pull the grass. So there people will see it and become distraught. The Gemara says, which is you get to the two dots. Who's talking about grass? Right? Grass, right? The Gemara answers no. Really, it's busy. I should say. You should go ahead and sweep it, and you sprinkle it with water in order that the weeds and stuff don't grow there and grass doesn't grow. And Rabbi Yehuda says that. Rabbi Yehuda, Amasai, when is that? Bishuban, when it's still in usage. But it was destroyed, it's no longer in use. And leave it there in order for grass to grow there, and and don't pull out the grass and don't take out the weeds. So people will be distraught over it and they will down for it. And Amar Rabasi, but the Al Tanai, the shuls in Bavel, they were made Al Tanai. And in other words, if they want to do something else with that building, so therefore they can do it. But nevertheless, one should be not even close. Rosh, mind you, what is that? Chashbonas, right? Doing different calculations. Shouldn't do that in the shul. And Amar Rav Asi, basically, so he says no. He says you can't go ahead and do chashbonas there. And Malin in the Boaz Sames. And he goes, any basic knesses, they will go ahead and use it for chashbonos. Those will be a storehouse for dead people. So is Malin Sagadaisa, right? But it's going to hold dead people, right? It's not good. This is the outcome, right? It's not going to be like this. Okay, fine, not such a bad. What it means is that it will be used for a mace mitzvah. In other words, people who don't die, they will be, so they will be stored there, which is not a good thing to have a mace mitzvah, but at least it doesn't mean that you're automatically going to be storing dead bodies there.
What's
all right, we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll catch up and we'll, what was the question?
What's the information between Bonos